And welcome back to Revolution Radio. So, very rarely, and I openly admit it, do I go after certain left wing politicians. Like, maybe they deserve to, but this I get to. And the squad led by AOC, they had an important vote recently. The vote was on should we fund to the tune of 1.9 million dollar billion dollars to the DC police. Um, AOC, Rokana, and Rashida Tlaib all voted present. Ilhan Omar, um, Rashid Davis, and uh, I can't remember the last one, but they voted no on it. Now, the important thing about it is that this bill only passed by 2 votes, meaning if Rokana and AOC had voted no, this wouldn't have passed. Sure, they didn't vote yes, but they also didn't vote no. And they could have stopped this from passing. Why do I think it's important that we not fund DC police? The most important would be is because they stink at their job. I think that would be the most important. I mean, we have a Keystone Cop kind of situation where there is something going on, a protest, a riot, right at the White House, or right there on the lawn there, and they are
Steps of the Capitol building,
you
yeah.
step to the Capitol, yeah, and they have their riot shields that are locked in a bus, and nobody can find the key to the bus. We want to give those guys more money, the ones that lost the key to their riot shields. Also, why were they on a bus? Why were they locked in a bus? Why did they decide just to stand down? Why did they take pictures with some of these people that we now consider domestic terrorists? Why? And the answer is, well, obviously they didn't have enough money. No, I highly doubt that was it. And furthermore, coming from somebody like AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Rokana, these are the same people that know the problem of a police state. It's right, left, or in the middle. You have to at least admit the fact that they speak out against a police state all the time, and giving more power to the police is a bad thing. But here, they didn't seem to completely agree with that. They could have completely blocked it, and they didn't. Not to mention the fact that they haven't brought up something that I think is really important along with the January 6th attack, and that is after that, we brought in the military. We had the military sit for 5 months on home soil, ready to attack Q members, ready to attack what, rioters? We don't know. But the fact that these same people who had such a problem with the military being called to attack Black Lives Matter protesters didn't say anything about that is ridiculous. And I think they should be called out for it. I know Scott and I haven't talked about it, but it has something that's been bothering me. Is why do we have these National Guardsmen here ready to attack American citizens? Anytime you point the military at their own citizens, it's a bad thing. And I'm highly against
Oh
it.
yeah.
I don't care if it's Trump supporters or if it's Black Lives Matter supporters. It doesn't matter. Military does not need to have boots on their home soil with guns aimed at their own citizens. And this is something I thought, like AOC, who had spoken passionately about, I thought this was something that she would also be principled on. But again, I guess I was wrong. And I'm not really surprised by that, but it does bother me. And I think I take the second to say, you know what? Voting present is not a protest. It's not a sign of solidarity. No, it shows that you have a weak spine. And when pushed to it,
It's indifferent.
yeah, you didn't stand up to your principles. You didn't do the job you were supposed to do. Now, does that mean I'm going to write her off? No. But I think it's a learning moment, not only for myself, but hopefully for her. And hopefully enough of her supporters tell her that she did wrong so she can sharpen up her teeth and get back there to
Or
doing,
she can give us an explanation.
yeah, yeah, maybe that, fair enough. That would work too. Any of those things. But we are slowly seeing the squad become a little bit more liberal, and it's bothersome, and hopefully they They get back into being agitated. And maybe they're just tired. I get it. We all have this fatigue. The last 6 years has been very, very tiring if you're in the political spectrum. But unfortunately, you can't sit this one out. You can't sit any of these out. Um, but yeah, that definitely bothered me. I wanted to get that in, Scott. But the one thing that I do also want to talk about is the January 6th commission. And it's a weird thing. Like, me personally, I'm against it. I don't think we need to do it. Anytime we spend money to investigate stuff, somehow we always end up giving power to like the CIA, and they somehow turn that
Oh
around
yeah,
and use it against us, right? Like,
right.
yeah, so I'm against it completely. The only thing that bothers me though is the group who has told me over and over again, well, it wasn't Trump supporters. It was Antifa. It was blah, blah, blah. I would figure that they would want
Well,
to investigate it to point to the light of, see, it's not Trump people, it's Antifa members. But they're not. And also,
I
a
mean,
lot of them would be
yeah, I
like,
mean, there was a couple documented there's a couple documented like Antifa guys there. Kind of, they were fucking moonlighting. They put on Trump gear. They were like, yeah, burn it down because that's what they do. But what does that have to do with why the DC police stood down and who called for the stand down? It's almost a little bit of a setup for Trump
well,
people to
that,
go stupid.
that too, though. I mean, I don't want to give them that out, that, hey, the cops are out of the way, so you know, it's that same notion as, well, my wife's out of town. What did she expect? Me not to have sex? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. We have the goats in the backyard. I mean, for fuck's sake.
there is OnlyFans. I don't know what your problem is. No, I don't want to give him that out, but I also do. I'm also curious though, why, like Kevin McCarthy and a lot of the Stop the Steal people and people who are jumping on the America First bandwagon, why don't they want to find out if they truly believe that
They
their
probably
supporters
believe
had no part?
it wouldn't be fair, and it would just be completely partisan aimed, which I don't disagree. It probably would be, and but again, I think most of it would be a big waste of time, a big waste of expenditure, just like the whole first and second impeachment thing and the Russiagate. They were a huge waste of time and money,
And money.
and all we found out was that some of the CIA and FBI agents hated Trump and that everything was bullshit. And that's what we get for $100 million.
Right.
That's what we get. So what can we expect from, and our CIA and our FBI? They're compromised assholes. They totally are. I mean, they literally, they're just as unfunctional. I can't even say, as Billy Bob's little 5-person police force that does stuff just like a sheriff wants them to. We make our laws around here.
I think they're even worse than that because, so many of them, I don't think they care about left or right. I think they believe they run the country.
Oh,
And
sure.
to an extent, they're probably right. But no, and I
At their
agree.
level.
Completely. I also think, like I said before, I don't want them to do it because they would find some way to use it to spy on us. Oh well,
Right.
we need to be prepared for the next September 6th. So that means if you have a political name in any of your tweets or your messages, then we get to spy on your phone. That kind of thing. I mean, we saw
Yeah, and
that
there were
interesting thing.
statements made like that. We're basically saying, some of our political candidates, and it wasn't Biden, but it was, there were Democrats who said things, and especially talking heads and pundits who were just like, well, anybody who, basically was involved, in the Trump, the whole thing. Would you mean people who voted for Trump?
Right.
Because that's a large portion of the country. Are you saying those people are now connected to domestic terrorism? Oh, Patriot Act Part 4. Now, now we all have installed cameras. Like, what was it? What's the movie where they Fahrenheit 2061 or whatever, where they burn the books. It's kind of a
Oh, yeah,
post-war kind
yeah,
of German.
yeah. Fahrenheit 9/11. No, no, Fahrenheit.
It's
Uh,
400
you're
something,
right.
because
For
that's the temperature that paper ignites. Is why that's
yes.
named after that. But I mean, there's a camera in
Ah,
everyone's house,
I just read
and
that
it's
book.
like, yeah, 461. Damn it, I can't remember,
God, I
but
can remember.
418, 48, some 18 Fahrenheit. Okay, we know what book we're talking
Right,
about.
right,
But I
right.
mean, they live in a world where they are looking at the big screen. That's not weird. And there's also a camera. A lot of us have TVs with cameras on it. I have gum over mine. I'm just kidding. But but we do know that the CIA and FBI have, thanks to Snowden, have the technology and invested in the technology to remotely spy on you via hardware keys that the manufacturers gave them directly through your television. And it's not bullshit, and it's not, conspiracy theory. They can absolutely do that if they wanted to. They've got great hackers.
Oh, they do.
So,
Yeah. No, I agree, 100%. It's Fahrenheit 451. Um, but
51.
yeah, I know, threw me off. I agree completely. And I don't think that's the route to go at all. And I'm glad that they won't pass it. I do think it does kind of shine a light, though, to what you were talking about with the definitely the pundits and the talking heads who, um, they get this hate organization together, and it's obviously I don't mean something that it's very intangible, but it is how they work to say the Trump supporters are the enemy. You should be scared of them. They are the terrorists. They're the ones who are going to attack you. And it's all rhetoric, and you know that.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's what, your neighbor?
yeah,
Does the
exactly.
elderly guy down the street offer any? Is he secretly a Nazi when his dungeon and his microwave is actually labeled the Jew killer machine?
And
No,
you, and
these people are normal
you know
people.
Rachel Maddow and all of those pundits, they do it for the clicks. They don't believe it. And then the other side, though, you have the Tucker Carlsons and the Sean Hannitys in that group who they're the same way. Hey, hate those people. They're trying to turn your country into a communist country. They stole the election. Both sides now have clearly believed that neither one has won an election. If we listen to the pundits on both sides, there hasn't been a fair and free election since 1994. Um, you know, and they do this though for two reasons. One, to get money, because I mean, look, the Trump America First Foundation right now is breaking records with how much money they got.
I don't doubt it.
I mean, and that's obviously the only game. Even though Trump he was on his vlog yesterday talking about how in August there's gonna be an
I saw
uprising.
that.
Yeah, he's taken back over. Like we know he doesn't mean it. He doesn't care. Right now, he is super rich and super happy because he's getting all this money. It's going directly into a slush fund, and he gets to write the checks out of that slush fund. You're just financing Trump's life right now. And on the other side, of course, they're doing it the same thing. Nancy Pelosi loves the power she has because she's got the power of the purse strings on the DNC party right now. Her and Pete Buttigieg are some of the biggest um, draws for donations and things of that nature. And you know, they obviously control us by using a Sean Hannity, by using a an OAN, a Newsmax, a CNN, an MSNBC. And at the end of the day, they don't care because they're all getting rich and they're on their own worlds while we end up hating each other. And we're ready to go to
Yeah.
war because you have a red hat, so I hate you. You're a racist, you know. Oh, well, you want to be a communist. You don't want to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, and none of it's true. Like, none of it is true at all. It's brought us down this like horrible path. In fact, one thing I think, like, I'm not going to say anything because we're running a little bit over, but just for all the listeners, check out Joy Reid, Sean Hannity. Just Google those two names. You will actually see where not only have they had correspondence, they're friends. They've helped each other out. Seriously, look into it. It's interesting. Anyway, we'll be back. We've got some talk on the petro production, and I think we probably might run just a entire last segment going into UFOs, and branch that in. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll be back.